Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins Podcast. Each week, my guest and I discuss one pivotal moment in their life, what they learned from it, and their words of wisdom. For our guest, food is where his story began, working in his uncle's grocery store from an early age. After college, he returned to Jamaica to run his uncle's food manufacturing plant before eventually making his way back to Canada to build a career in sales. Then, the economic downturn of 2008 arrived, and with it, a pullback towards his entrepreneurial roots that he could no longer ignore. What followed started with a single article in a magazine, one recipe, and a university food lab. Today, he runs a Jamaican hot sauce business built on a commitment to authenticity that goes back to the soil, truly farm to table before that phrase became a trend. Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins Podcast. I am so grateful that you are here with us today. Please join me in welcoming today's guest, Michael Burgess, who is the founder and CEO of Nerpy, which is Jamaican spices and seasoning. And we're going to learn a lot more about that. So welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So good. So this podcast is anchored on one question, which is, what is one pivotal moment in your life? And the reason that is the question is because, first of all, it's highly universal. Everyone has lots of pivotal moments, some which we control, some which are imposed on us. And it's about sharing the stories of resiliency and how people manage through those different pivots, good or bad. And so this platform was really created to share those stories and for people to meet amazing people like yourself and learn about this incredible business that we're going to learn about today. So welcome. Really glad
Thanks.
You're here.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
So let's just jump right in. What is one pivotal moment in your life?
So I've had several over as it relates to this business. The pivot for me was the economic downturn in 2008, 2009. I was working corporate job, doing corporate sales. And while working for this company, our sales cycle and the close ratio started to stretch further and further apart. And it got my mind moving back towards the entrepreneurial spirit that was kind of hibernating while I was working in this corporate environment for all these years. And so I started reading about just, what was happening in that space. Things like going through publications like Entrepreneurial Magazine, Small Business Magazine, things like that. And I came across an article that was about the hot sauce business in the US. And it mentioned how big the market was there and how big it was forecasted to go or to get to. And so I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. Now, in my earlier life, I've always had exposure to food. I enjoy food. I like to eat. I like spicy food. So for me, the association was pretty easy to get into my head. But I'd never really made a hot sauce before or anything like that. So, but like I said, I like spicy food and I like pepper and things like that. And, growing up in Jamaica, Scotch bonnet peppers are pretty much part of every meal. Like we cook with it, rice and peas and pretty much everything we eat. So, so I understood it. I was very familiar with that side of it anyway. And so, but also too, I was looking for a side hustle because, like I said, our close ratio was with that business was a little bit more challenging during that time, and so I thought this was a good opportunity. So that became something that I shifted my mind towards and started investigating this this business and looking up recipes and things like that. So yeah, in that downturn, there became an opportunity for me. And, when you look at businesses in general, a lot of times when there's a downturn in things or whatever, those times actually create opportunities.
Yes, absolutely.
So that became the shift in my mindset, and I started doing my R&D, and I just kept on plugging away at it, and now here we are.
So how big is the hot sauce business, or how big was it then?
So globally, it's $1 billion industry. I would say, if my memory serves correct, it's about a $3 billion industry globally. In North America alone, it's millions of dollars.
Yes.
And what was interesting in that article that I read, they said that hot sauce is going to become the ketchup of the future.
Oh, interesting.
And when you think about it, as demographics change and as populations move, you will always have an integration more so of different cultures.
Yes.
And with that, the different cultural foods. And as you can see here in Ontario or in Canada and across North America, there's been what I would, I remember, with a friend of mine at one point, we were working together, and he hadn't had jerk chicken before.
Right.
Canadian guys never really got exposed to that before. And then when we introduced it at our office, I said to him, I'm like, well, do you like spicy food? He's like, no, not really. And so I got him some Jamaican food, but it was it wasn't jerk chicken. It was something else, stew chicken. So it was milder.
Yes.
And then eventually he worked his way up. He tried that, and then he's like, okay, I want to try this jerk chicken you guys are talking about. So anyways, now I remember, years later, he sends me this picture, and he's, grilling in his backyard. He's got a jar of my jerk, and he's doing his own stuff at home, right?
Yes.
So the movement and the appreciation for the spicier foods, while it takes a little bit to sort of acclimatize to the in the palate, so to speak, once it happens, there's almost no going back.
Right, exactly.
And that has happened throughout. I think throughout the foodie world, so to speak, and especially in the younger demographic of people, there are more, like, I see kids when I do shows and stuff like that, that like, come up and they're like, yeah, get the hottest one. Like they're telling their parents.
What?
Right. So I see it more and more. And then you have, shows that we're like, as we were talking about earlier, like that are where, there's fun kind of things, like, with the program Hot Ones, like, there's everybody that's doing it. And it became a viral thing after just being like this underground little YouTube thing. Now it's a, syndicated program.
Absolutely.
So it just highlights how throughout the world, like, people are eating more and more spicier food. So here in Canada, that market continues to grow. For me, when I had an opportunity to pitch one of my retail partners, I remember sitting in with the buyers, and they said to me that this is literally, pun intended, the hottest category we've seen in years.
Really?
Yeah. And it continues to grow.
Okay.
Continues to grow. The market, and what, I remember when I got into the business, one of the things that people said to me, it's a very competitive space to be in. There's a lot of hot sauces out in the market. I'm like, really? Well, that's good, because that means that there's a space.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of me carving my niche within that space so that I can get my spot.
Exactly.
So
you start this as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Like, how do you figure out a recipe? How do you source it? How do you make it? Like, what does that journey look like?
Yeah, so it's a lot of reading. I spend a lot of time looking at other companies that I knew of. So I'll take you back a little bit.
Yes.
When I was in high school, one of the first jobs I had when I came to Canada from Jamaica was one of my uncles had a grocery store. So I worked in grocery. And when you're working in family business, you start at a very young age. So 12 years old, I was in the grocery store packing.
Get in there.
unpacking boxes of yam and bananas and cans of whatever and bottles of whatever from all our suppliers and putting stock. I was a stock boy, right? So
Right.
I did all that work. So I grew up in the grocery business, but at the same time, or in the food business. But what I knew were brands that were hot sauce brands that were whether they were from Barbados or from Jamaica or from Trinidad or wherever, or and I knew the North American brands like a lot of these U.S. brands, but so I knew what brands and what products that I liked.
Yes.
And so I went back and I looked them up, and having access to the internet and things like that, or going to Indigo and just reading books,
right?
So I did it was a little bit of a lot of reading, but I also had some familiarity with those other hot sauces, so I knew kind of what their kind of overall profile was.
Yes.
And so I started to, in reading some of these books, find recipes. So I wrote down some recipes and thought about what I wanted to create. And when I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, one of the things that I found that was common throughout a lot of these products was that there was a high sodium load, number one, a lot of vinegar, and a lot of preservatives. So for me, an artificial preservatives or food coloring and things like that. So what I wanted to do, I didn't want to create a product that had those things, because to me, I wanted to create a healthier alternative with what I was going to make. So the first thing was no artificial preservatives.
Okay.
And no food coloring. That became the challenge.
Okay.
So figuring out how to make a product that would be shelf stable without any artificial preservatives. So I had to learn what natural preservatives were that I could implement into this recipe. How I would create the color without using dye number 7 or whatever it was.
Exactly.
So I looked at, so I started doing that. So that became another part of the research.
Right.
And figuring out what the ingredients were that I could use in terms of like fruit and vegetables that would help to create a thickening, work as a thickening agent. Because a lot of hot sauces use things like gel and gums, or they'll use like cornstarch, or they'll use
to provide some solidity.
To kind of keep everything together. Because naturally, when you add water or vinegar, the product's going to separate.
Yes.
So they'll add those things as a binding agent to bring those things together. So, anyways, so I started looking at what fruits or vegetables I could combine, one to give the flavor, but also to act as a binding agent, and help with the color, and what other spices. So I created a recipe. One of the first recipes I made was a mango Scotch bonnet hot sauce. The Scotch bonnet, obviously coming from my Jamaican roots.
Yes.
The mango as well too, actually. But then I used something. I used a squash. In Jamaica, we call it chocho. In Spanish, call it chayote. So I use that squash as my binding agent.
Oh.
And thickener. And then I also added carrots to it. So it became like a fruit and vegetable based hot sauce. And those two items, the carrots and the squash, became my binder and thickening agent. And then I added one of the hot sauces I was looking at are a lot of hot sauces from the Caribbean have mustard in them.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of mustard, so I didn't want mustard, but I wanted that yellow color.
Yes.
So I used turmeric instead.
Okay, good call.
So, and then eventually, as I was building out these recipes, I eventually realized that I needed a little bit more scientific assistance. And so I ended up going to the University of Guelph, working with their food lab there.
Amazing.
And by this point, I had 3 recipes that I had developed. So I went to the University of Guelph, and they helped me sort of tweak my ingredient deck in terms of shelf stability, colors, and things like that. And after multiple iterations and a lot of money,
Yes.
in the R&D, the research was done, and I was ready to go to market.
Okay.
Which is about a year and a half later.
Yeah. So that's a major labor of love.
Yeah.
Right, to start.
Yeah.
Where's the name Nerpy's from?
Yeah. This is a funny story. So in 1995, I got a job opportunity. Sorry, I was in college, 94, sorry. I was in college, and one of my uncles owns a company in Jamaica, came up here, and he was looking for someone to help him run his manufacturing plant in Jamaica. And at the time I was in college, but I was also doing something else. I was modifying and racing cars at this time. I had a side hustle doing that. So this is
Okay, that's a totally different side hustle. Okay, got it.
yeah. So I used to I used to race cars, and I sell car parts like to like back in the day before Fast and Furious actually became a whole movie series. We were already doing that here.
Okay.
So I had this shop in Scarborough, and I used to sell. Well, how I got into that actually, I used to. A friend of mine actually in Florida before. Okay, so the segue is kind of funny. I started selling the neon lights that people used to put underneath their cars.
Yes. Right.
A friend of mine in Florida told me about this thing and how it was like all over South Beach and in Miami, all these guys were doing this thing. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And he sent me this picture of this thing. And I'm like, yo, that's pretty cool. Can you send me a kit, or can you get a kit? Like, how do I get access to this thing? And anyway, he sent me this kit. I took it, I put it on my girlfriend's car at the time, drove into a tint shop and stereo shop, and I said, listen, I got something real cool to show you guys.
Yeah.
But I need you to like let me go into the back garage, turn the lights off, and I'll show you what it is. And everybody's like, what?
What's happening?
I'm not gonna rob you. Like, don't worry about it. It's, like you guys
Trust me, I got this.
Yeah, you can get a like whatever wrench out in your hands, and if anything goes haywire. So anyways, I go in the back, flick the lights off, and then I flick my lights on for the neons, and everybody's like, whoa, like what is that? And I told them about it. So
cool.
It became a segue into that industry for me. And then through selling those kits, I started selling some other parts as the business evolved. Mm-hmm. And so as I was doing that while I was in college, it created this other opportunity to work with someone else who was a mechanic who was into the performance parts or car scene, and I liked that scene. I already had a jazzed up car, and I liked that whole. I had that adrenaline junkie
Yes.
kind of mindset. So, anyways, I got into that, and then so while I was doing this, however, we had this shop, and then we had an issue at the shop. And so at the same time, when my uncle came to me from Jamaica, he's like, like, are you going back to school? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I have this car part business and whatever. But at this point, the shop had closed down. I was kind of doing this business at my mother's house and in my mother's garage.
Yes.
He's like, you can't be like fixing cars in your mom's car. I'm like, this is just temporary. He's like, well, listen, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to consider coming back to Jamaica and working with me at the factory, managing a factory. I'm like, I've never run a factory before.
Right.
He's like, you've managed people before, you understand business. Like, I need somebody that I can trust. I need leadership, and you have that skill set. So the opportunity is there. And I said, well, let me think about it. So some time passed, and we never ended up going back into another shop. And so winter was coming, and I was like, well,
I need to figure out something.
Like, what are you doing? Do you want to come? Like, do you want to go through another winter? I'm like, yeah, that's a good selling feature there. Yeah, no more winter. So I pulled the trigger, and I ended up going to Jamaica.
Okay.
Working in this factory, and it kind of opened up a lot of doors for me in Jamaica in terms of a network contacts. I mean, I had always kind of maintained a friendship with Jamaica. My mom had worked with the airlines for years, so I used to fly back and forth to Jamaica all the time.
Okay.
When I also used to be a DJ. When I was DJing, I used to fly to Jamaica, buy records, and come back up and play music at stuff in the clubs and stuff like that. So, I've done a lot of different.
I was going to say, you're quite the entrepreneur. Like, there's multiple hats happening here.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I still had like I had all these contacts in Jamaica. So going to work in Jamaica, outside of working within the family business, if I had some challenges and stuff, where I had friends and contacts there that I could speak to about some of the challenges and things that I was going through in the business, or if I need to contact somebody about whether it was security at the plant or it was material or whatever it was for production, things like that, or even just relating to the people in the plant. Like, I had a network of friends that I could, and talked about different things. So the segue in going back to Jamaica was pretty cool, and so it kind of, and that was sort of a catalyst to doing other things within food. I mean, it's funny too, because when I first got to Jamaica, everybody was like, "Yo, so when's the party?"
Yeah.
People who knew me from my party and DJs. I'm like, listen, I didn't come back here to do any parties.
I'm actually working here.
Yeah. So sure enough, a year later, I started having parties.
Yeah, of course you did. Of course you did. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, that was how I ended up in Jamaica, and in my journey back into food in one respect. And we eventually sold that plant, and then I got into wholesale frozen food distribution because we opened up another business, and so did that for a couple of years, and so kind of that transition allowed me to do a lot of different things because I was selling. And it's funny because it kind of comes full circle because we were now selling product. I was selling like wholesale frozen food, like frozen chicken parts. And then I expanded the line to like other meats and seafood. And then, so we were selling to grocery stores and hotels and restaurants and things like that, which is exactly what I'm doing now.
Yes, exactly. Coming full circle.
Yeah. And then I had a friend of mine that left Canada as well too. And he wanted to come back to Jamaica, but he wasn't sure what to do. He had a farm actually just off 9th Line here, down by the Holland Marsh. And I asked him, I said, well, do you guys still have the farm? He said, yeah. I said, okay, well, here's what you do. Because I knew what inventory grew in the Holland Marsh and how nice that was.
Yes,
and how great the crops are that come out of there. So I said to him, listen, how about you call your wife and tell her to pack a small container for you and ship me some onions, some carrots, some potatoes from the marsh, and I will bring it here to my facility, and I will sell this to my within my network, and then this will be your segue to go and do the exact same thing, but outside of. I was in Kingston, so I'm like, you can go and sell to the rest of Jamaica.
Yes.
Go to the country, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, wherever, but like, I will take care of Kingston.
Correct. So
it gave him an opportunity and gave us some more diversity in our product offerings at the wholesale. And ironically, later on, he started a restaurant, and he had asked me about sampling something when I went back there in 2008. And one of the things I said to him was that so they started cooking food, and I was like, the one thing this needs is hot sauce. And he brought me this hot sauce, and I tried it, and it was like amazing. And I said to him, I'm like, listen, you need to bottle this, and you need to put this on the road.
Yes.
And
foreshadowing.
So yeah, foreshadowing, very much so. So I came back to Canada with that, and I brought obviously some of that pepper sauce back with me too. And it became actually a model that I tried to base my sauce as I was doing my development.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of those things just kind of, it was funny how everything became so intertwined in that whole, in this whole journey. And a lot of these things happened for me just really organically that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So the name Nerpies.
Yeah, came from being in Jamaica and hanging out with all my friends there in Jamaica. And we were at a party one night. So while there, we're at this golf club and outdoors, and all of a sudden these kittens just were coming out of nowhere. So I guess a cat had a litter.
Yeah.
So myself and a couple of friends were up on the veranda talking, and where we were and where these kittens came out, you kind of had to go past us to go to the washrooms. So of course, as the as young single men,
Yes.
we were, as the ladies are going to the washrooms or coming back, we had an opportunity to, just
Chit chat.
Exactly. The hook became the joke with these kittens
Yes.
running around. And there was a story up here that I had been in a similar situation. I had a friend who we were at a pool hall, and that actually happened. And he started, and the fellow who was trying to round up the kittens, my friend is a comedian, and he started mimicking the cat's meows. And of course, every time the guy went over that side, he would do the meow, and he would come back over here. So he had this guy spinning around in circles looking for these kittens. So I kind of did the same thing, except I did it in a way to create some attention with these young ladies so that they would come over and like, where is there a kitten here? Of course. Next thing you know, and of course we're drinking, and
Yes.
so as the night progressed, the meows kind of got a little slurred,
Yes.
and it became a nerp, and
So good.
the meows became a nerp, and next thing you know, at the end of the night or the next day, we go to the beach, and my friend says to me, he's like, "How you feeling today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." He's like, "Remember last night?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I'm gonna make that name stick." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Nerp." So he walked down the beach, and he's told everybody on the beach, call Michael Nerp, call him Nerpy, call him Nerpus, call him whatever. And he just walked down the beach, and every time I went somewhere, he was behind me, Nerp. And it became this running joke. And to this day, like every time I went back to Jamaica thereafter, I would reach, the house, and I'd call him like, "Hey guys, I'm here." And everybody would be like, "Nerp." And so when I was starting the business, I wasn't sure what I was going to call the brand. And my girlfriend said to me, "Why don't you just call it Nerpies? That's what everybody calls you." I'm like, "No, it's stupid. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to..." The whole thing is
memorable.
the whole name is just based on just a stupid nonsense, ridiculous story. She's like, "Yeah, exactly." So
Exactly.
So anyways, I went with it, and now Nerp is in every household.
So good. I love it.
Yeah, households all across country. Nerpy is now this
Nerpies.
brand. Yeah.
Okay. So you spent a year and a half building it doing some of the R&D with the University of Guelph.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to go. And are you bringing product in from Jamaica? Are you buying it here? How do you actually hit the ground running and launch this brand?
So through the food lab, they had to source ingredients as well too. So they gave me some connections to some suppliers. But remember I told you about the fact that I worked in grocery as a kid. When I was working in that grocery store, my uncle used to take me, or we used to go down to the food terminal to buy product.
Right.
So I already knew about the food terminal. I had walked the food terminal when I was, 12 years old, 14 years old. So I already knew about the food terminal. So I knew that as a source to get product or get produce. And then these guys at the food lab, there's other wholesale suppliers that you could buy from. So they put me in contact with them, and then I eventually went down and set up an account with the food terminal, and I was buying stuff through the food terminal when I needed to buy more volume.
Yes.
So I did that, worked with the different wholesale suppliers, and I also bought stuff from the food terminal. And then, so throughout the early stages, that was what I did. But part of my plan when I started this business was I didn't think, as I was building this thing out, I was looking for opportunities, whatever. I also had in the back of my mind, how can I create something that could potentially send some money back to Jamaica?
Wonderful.
So in 2018, I had the opportunity I got approached by Farm Boy. Okay. And then, so I got in with them. But it was only a couple of stores. They only had a couple of stores here in the GTA at that point, 3 locations. So that wasn't too bad. I already had a portfolio at this point now of about 50 odd stores
Okay.
carrying the product. And then Metro came around in 2019. And I know, and Metro was a much bigger deal.
Much bigger.
So I needed to source more peppers.
Yes.
That's the core ingredient to my product line.
Absolutely.
Peppers only grow here in Ontario seasonally. So I, at this point, I was working with a contract packager. They put me in contact with a supplier out of the US that had like a crushed or a pepper mash, as we call it in the industry, or a puree. So I bought a shipment from them, and when this deal with Metro came around, I needed to like move to scale really quickly,
really fast.
So anyways, I bought I think 100 gallons worth of pepper mash from these guys. Brought it, had it trucked up here, and then so that helped me like scale that operation. But the challenge was it wasn't what I liked. So the year that in 2018, also I had a friend of mine who worked. I spoke about my network in Jamaica. He worked with the Jamaica Gleaner, which is a national newspaper in Jamaica, and he came up and we went out for dinner. And he's like, "So are you, what's business? How's it going? And, are you getting peppers out of Jamaica?" I said, "No. Ironically, I'm not." He's like, "But I thought your whole thing is Scotch bonnet peppers." I'm like, "Yes. The problem is I can only get those at a certain time of the year here.
Correct.
After the farmers harvest. And I haven't found a supplier that can get me product out of Jamaica directly, although I'd love to have that happen."
Right.
So anyways, he's like, "Wow, that's like shocking." And I said, I said, "A lot of times I have people that have approached me, but no one actually has been able to deliver."
Yes.
So anyways, he's like, "This is crazy. I got to have one of my writers reach out to you. I got to write a story about this because this is like a story that needs to be told."
Absolutely.
So Gleaner, the writer calls me, and then, next thing you know, like the article is published, and I have everybody and their son calling me out of Jamaica.
All of Jamaica. It's got your phone number now. Yep.
So a lot of farmers reached out to me, but and it was great because in my mind, I wanted to be able to have that happen, have a ability that now that I've started this company, how do I send some money back home to Jamaica, right? So
for sure,
this was the opportunity to do that. The same, my aunt, who I was working for at the time when we did this wholesale frozen food business, runs the second largest poultry production company in Jamaica. And at the hen houses, basically she's sitting on, a few acres worth of land where the hen houses were or at. So she said to me, "I didn't realize you were struggling with that inventory challenge of peppers. Why don't we grow for you here?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." She goes, "You just have to tell me what to do because we have never grown peppers before."
Right.
So that started this project, which was for her to grow peppers there on that, some of that land there. And the challenge that they had initially was that portion of land that it had allocated was the soil was too clay-like, so it wasn't ideal for growing.
Okay.
But the good thing was what we had started there with the seedlings, we were able to sell those seedlings to some other farmers who were on some other more fertile soil. And then we would buy the inventory back from them.
So good.
So now we had about, if my memory serves me correct, maybe about 24 farmers that we had been in contact with about growing, and then we started buying. So started this project 2018. By 2020, we got it off the ground, and I went back to Jamaica in 2020, signed off on this project. We now had someone else so we were growing the peppers, bringing them in, sorting them at the facility there, and then we sent them out to a third party to crush them and convert them to a mash.
Okay.
So I developed this recipe for a pepper mash.
Okay.
Gave it to my aunt. She gave it to these guys, and then I went and met with them, and then the processor to crush the peppers for us. And same thing, clean deck, so no artificial preservatives.
Yes.
Basically just salt and vinegar and the peppers.
So good.
And so in 2020, we started exporting that pepper mash product out of Jamaica to me, and that's been the lifeblood of my business now since, and being able to access like the true authenticity of
Yes.
what was the start of my vision and that product line with the Scotch bonnet pepper coming directly out of Jamaica,
Yes.
and now being able to, to send some money back home.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
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 Give back to your roots, which I love.
Yeah, and so now we have. So we did that project with these farmers for a few years, and then eventually found some better area on property where the hen houses are to grow pepper. So now we actually have our own farm in house, 4 acres that we grow Scotch bonnet pepper exclusively there.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that project has also developed into the ability for my aunt to sell peppers domestically in Jamaica. And I also brought in at the time, I had one of my uncles there is an agronomist and has been a consultant for a lot of the different agricultural boards in Jamaica. And so I suggested that I said to my aunt that she contact him, and so that he can consult with them in terms of like disease mitigation processes, pest mitigation processes, and what things that to use to address those concerns. So brought sort of 2 elements of the family together in this business, which has been fantastic. And then now we also have, so we can sell fresh pepper on a local market. I have the crushed pepper mash that is sold to me here, but it's also sold in the domestic market in Jamaica as well now too.
Okay.
I also advised or suggested that we look at moving to dehydrating the Scotch bonnet pepper to create a powder or a flake.
Okay.
What that does is eliminates a waste issue. Like with any agricultural product, you have a short shelf life for until the product itself starts to spoil. So by dehydrating the pepper, now you convert it to a completely dehydrated or dried product that there's no waste.
Yeah.
So
That's brilliant.
yeah. So so we have a huge industrial dehydrator there on our facility as well now too, that we can dehydrate Scotch bonnet pepper, convert it to a powder, which I also bring in as well too. And that is going to spin off a whole nother set of lines for me as well in terms of some other projects that I have for the future planned.
So you really are fully like vertically integrated in that way, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of what's in your product is from your own business, family run, supporting back in Jamaica, which is tremendous, right?
Complete from like farm to table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it was cool, right? So now the business has been up and running for
17 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
So the original recipe that you had, you then added a couple. So how big is the product offering now? And it's just hot sauce, or you've added seasonings and everything else? What is?
17 years, 17 plus products.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started with just the original hot sauce.
And is it called the original?
No,
Okay.
it's called Nerpy's Gold. So it's
The gold.
The gold. It's
I love it.
when you think about gold, right? Like award-winning gold medal,
Totally.
like all that. So
Best of the best.
as we say in Jamaica, top of top. So so I have a gold, I have a red. I wanted to do a green one, which I did make one at one point. So I wanted to do like a red, gold, and green, which is
that would
Rasta
totally
colors and all of
exactly.
that, right? But so I made a green one, but I made it as like a mild hot sauce. But to me, that was a bit of a conundrum. So I kind of didn't, even though I developed the recipe for it, I didn't really put it out there because it to me I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like a mild hot sauce to me just doesn't make any sense.
Wait a minute.
So anyways, I have a pickled veg. That was my third product, kind of like a ceviche or like a jardinera. In Jamaica, we call it escovitch. So I made that. And then I did an all-purpose seasoning. which is my mildest. I did a barbecue sauce.
Okay.
I have a jerk seasoning, which is now my top seller.
Okay. That makes sense.
You know, everybody loves jerk. And then I now have, as I mentioned, with the dehydrated processing now that we have, I have dehydrated Scotch bonnet pepper powder and Scotch bonnet pepper flakes. I also have so there's 3 seasonings. There's my 2 hot sauces, which were the original. There's a pickled veg. And then the 3 seasonings have spun off additional SKUs on the bulk side. So I have jerk, curry, and a green seasoning that we do in a bulk format that we sell into restaurants. So on the food service side now as well. And then in 2020, when I went back to Jamaica, I also started looking into coffee. Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee is very, very rare, ultra gourmet coffee, second most expensive coffee in the world, one of the rarest coffees and one of the smoothest coffees you will ever drink. Very, very highly regarded, but it's very, very rare because the Japanese buy over 80% of that coffee. So only 20% of that coffee is actually left for the rest of the world.
Okay.
And we are one of only a handful of people in Canada that distribute that coffee.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So I went to Jamaica there, spoke with a friend in the business, and we got that project off the ground at the end of 2020 as well. So we have 2 SKUs of coffee, a medium to dark roast and a medium roast.
Okay.
True purists will tell you that you only have good coffee as a medium roast.
Yes.
But I like a little bit more robust. So when I went to the roaster and I talked to him about doing a dark roast, he's sacrilege.
Exactly.
But I said, don't burn the bean and we should be fine. So we did that. And now we have a dark roast, a medium to dark roast as well. And then some new projects that I have in the works. We did a Scotch bonnet infused maple syrup last year.
Okay.
So that's really, really nice. And then I have another like ridiculously crazy, I call it stupid hot sauce, which incorporates more than just a Scotch bonnet pepper. This one now has 6 different peppers in it.
Ouch.
During COVID, we talk about pivots. During COVID, I started selling Scotch bonnet pepper seeds.
Okay.
Over the years, you know, dealing with peppers, I had amassed and collected seeds. So I started selling seeds. And funny enough, throughout COVID, I sold a ton of seeds. I guess people wanted to plant.
So good.
And there was a lot of guys that were planting pepper, I guess, during that time. So I sold like thousands of seeds during COVID. I still have it, but I don't sell as much of that. But that's also something that we do. Last year, I got the license to import allspice, which is pimento.
Yes.
So we bring in the pimento berries now as well too, out of Jamaica, and that actually comes from my other uncle's farms as well too. So again, you know, this whole family business. My grandfather was a farmer, and literally this whole segue back to farming and agriculture. It's a family business.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love the fact that you're integrated and that it's truly farm to table and that you are supporting family, you're supporting your community here.
Yeah.
You're supporting family and community in Jamaica. And it's gone from just off the side of your desk idea to now like a fully integrated going concern business, which is amazing. And you're in places all across Canada.
Yeah, so we're in most of the major grocery retailers here, the bigger banners like Metro, Farm Boy, Sobeys. I just got listed with Gordon Food Services this year. We just launched with them.
Nice.
We spoke actually with GFS is the acronym for them. Spoke with them back in 2020, just before COVID hit, and they wanted to list me with them as a supplier. And but obviously with COVID, I suggested that we put that on pause.
Yes.
And so, because, you know, we didn't know what we were getting into at that point. And with all these restaurants and stuff that were closing or shutting down as a result, it only made sense to press the brakes on that.
Yes.
Anyways, we went back to them after things reopened and there was a little bit more sustainability with where the food service sector was.
Yes.
So I reached out to my contact and I said, "Hey man, I'm still here. I'm still in the game, and we survived. And can we rock and roll?" And he's like, "Yeah, amazing. Let's do it."
So good.
Yeah. So so we launched with them earlier this year, and then Wallace had a bunch of other independent grocers and independent stores that we worked with over the years. A lot of butcher shops. That became my niche too when I was sort of segueing into the retail side of things. The butcher shops became a vertical that really helped me leverage and move the business forward quite a bit, actually.
Okay.
And it also became a good era for me to test some of the bulk food service items.
Right.
Because then I could offer that to them where they could pre-marinate chicken or whatever in, behind counter. So you could go in and get pre-marinated jerk from Nerpy's at a butcher shop.
So smart.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then last year I also got signed with Walmart.
Okay.
So we haven't rolled out with them yet, but that's coming.
It's coming. Okay. So is there a recipe book coming from you? Is that on your horizon? I mean, you're a creative, so there's probably 4,000 ideas in your head at this point, I'm gonna guess.
So what's coming is there's 4 or 5. So there's going to be a dry line that's going to come out.
Okay.
So all of the sauces that I have now are pretty much in a wet format.
Okay.
I'm going to, so having, I've always, people used to come to me and ask me if I have a dry jerk. And I didn't want to make one without having Scotch bonnet pepper in there.
Yes.
So until we were able to move to this dehydrated format.
Okay. Got it.
And create, the powder to integrate into a dry rub, I didn't want to make the recipe.
I get that. Okay.
Now that I have that, and also during COVID, I developed those recipes.
Yes.
Where everybody was in lockdown, so
for sure,
all kinds of time. So it also created what you asked about earlier. So I have recipes for the dry products already all done, and eventually that I will bring them to market. But at the same time, or during that time, someone had mentioned to me about writing a blog.
Okay.
I didn't have time to do that previously.
No.
But when we were in lockdown, I did.
Got time.
So I wrote 18 blogs.
Ooh.
Recipes.
Yes.
I worked with a friend of mine who's a chef. And we put together some recipes. And so there's videos out on YouTube. There's recipes already written. That are in a blog post that may become a book of some point or something like that or something. I mean, and plus there's other things that I do on a creative side in the kitchen that I like that are in my head that I haven't written down, but like I cook all the time.
Yes,
it's something that I enjoy doing.
Yes.
So a recipe, and this is how I'm able to create these recipes year after year after year, is that I'll have an idea. The wheels start to spin, and then it's like this maple syrup thing. Like,
super creative.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Well, what you've created is fantastic. Thank you. Good. All right, my last question for you is: what would be your words of wisdom, looking at the journey that you've been on and your pivotal moments? What would be your words of wisdom for the audience?
If you want to consider a journey into entrepreneurship, man, there's so much. You've got to be daring. You've got to be fearless. But most importantly, you got to be. You've got to have the perseverance. It's a tough go out there.
Yeah, it's
challenging. I make the joke with everybody. Okay, everybody knows Usain Bolt and these 100-meter sprint stars, Shelly Fraser-Price.
Yeah.
But the journey within entrepreneurship is not a sprint; it's a Mo Farah race. You know what I mean? It's not Usain Bolt, right?
Yes.
It's a 10,000 meter hurdle.
Yeah.
And as you go through this journey through entrepreneurship, you're constantly going through, like, you're running a steeplechase.
Yeah.
There's constant obstacles, and you jump over one hurdle, there's going to be another one.
Yes.
Just know that there's going to be another one.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have the perseverance and the drive to keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, you have done that and then some. I mean, selling car parts and all of these different things that you've done. I mean, you are through and through an entrepreneur, and what you've created with Nerpies is amazing. And I wish you nothing but continued success. We're going to keep watching from the sidelines as you bring up more and more recipes, expand your business. But I think what you're doing, unlike many other businesses, that you're being really deliberate about the product you're bringing out and being highly deliberate also about the sourcing of where the product coming from. And I applaud you for that. So congratulations. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And we'll be cheering super hard. Maybe not doing the super, super hot sauce. I will tell you, I'm a bit of a lightweight, but maybe the mild.
I don't do it on a regular either. But thank you. It's been a fun journey. It continues to be fun. I'm still enjoying it. It's still lots more to come.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We look forward to it. Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. That was so much fun. From stocking grocery shelves to modifying race cars to corporate sales to building a Jamaican hot sauce empire, Michael is an unstoppable force. I love that his business supports communities in both Canada and Jamaica. Well, now I'm off to try some hot sauce, although I'm going to avoid any that claims to have a powerful kick. Mild for me, please. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone you care about, and be sure to subscribe so you can continue to hear more pivotal stories involving one question, one turning point, one powerful story. I'll see you next week with another guest on the Leslie Hawkins Podcast.